framework. Okay. And then OSGI. Okay. Uh, so what are the advantages of features of AEM Horizon? No, the content management system. So we have lot of content management systems, right? Then why only we are going for AEM? So WordPress is there, Crown Creek, Drupal. So multiple CMS tools are available. So why only AEM? Hmm? Lot of what are the features? It gives lot of features. We have discussed it. What are features it gives? Connected with others. Okay, so you should be active, actively participating in applications. So yes, no need an extra server to store the data. You can use the own database. Apart from that, that's what it is. AIM has its own database to store the data. Still, CMA, CDA. Yes, AIM provides content management application and content delivery application as well. So content delivery application is the publish instance. So where the end user can access the content and then it will render that on the page. If the user is requesting for the content, so then it will serve from the publish instance. So whatever the content we are having, so that content we have to move into the publish instance if you want to get that website or web pages available to the end user. Suppose if I want end user wants to access this particular Englishman page or any other page, if he wants to access, so from where he will access, he will access from the publish instance, right? When he makes a request, then the content should load from the publish instance. So if you want to load, when he is accessing, if the content wants to load from the publish instance, so at that case what we need to do, so we have to move the content. By default publish instance will not have any content, right? Because this is a demo application, publish instance is having, right? So if you want to move this content into the publish instance, so at that case we have to, how, what are the ways we can move to the publish instance? So that is the one which we have to speak about. So whatever the content after developing the entire website, so whatever the content we are having, so we have to move this content into the publish instance. Okay, so in order to move the content, we have seen multiple options, right? So I can go to the page, I can go to the page information tab, and inside this page information, here we have an option of publish page. So we can use this publish page option to move the content to the publish instance. And then here, if I go to the sites console, if I want to publish multiple pages at the same time, I can select multiple pages and then I can use the quick publish option. So whenever you are using the quick publish option or manage publication or publish page, okay, so publish page inside the page tab. So if you want, if you, whenever you are using any of these things to move the content to the publish instance, so every time it is acting same. So in the backend we have something called as an replication agent. Okay, so with the help of the replication agent only, we are able to move the content to the publish instance. Okay, so any options we are choosing, so select multiple pages, either quick publish, manage publication, or go to the page. Inside the page information tab, if I use this publish page option, so when you are using any of these options, it will move the content to the publish instance. But how it is moving, so this is a predefined OSGI service, so which is nothing but a concept called as an replication agent. So this replication agent, it is a predefined OSGI service, and this predefined OSGI service is responsible to move the content from author instance to the publish instance. Okay. So replication agent is nothing but, which is nothing but activating the content from author instance to the publish instance. Activates the content. So this activation of content is a predefined OSGI service, or replication is an predefined OSGI service. It is already created you are just using the already created service in your local to move the content to the publish instance. So this is how a flow would be there. Okay. So once if an end user is accessing, so now consider he is an end user. So once the end user is making a request, so this request will come to the server. So inside the server, we have something called as a dispatcher. Consider this is a dispatcher directly. Okay, so once he makes a request, so this request comes to the dispatcher, and from the dispatcher, the request will be going to the publish instance, and from the publish instance, the dispatcher will fetch the content. And once the dispatcher fetches the content, so that content will be available to the end user. So request and then response. So in order that we have to push the content to the publish instance. So this is the publish instance. So this publish instance also does not known by the end user. Okay, so author instance, no chance. End user does not have any knowledge about the author instance. At the down, we are having the author instance, and the upwards you can see the publish instance. Okay, so now in this case, how we can move the content? So every time when we create any type of content inside this author instance, we have to make this content available in the publish instance. So we have to push the content with the help of replication agent. So and this replication agent, we actually have three main parts. Okay, so three main parts we have to discuss, which is nothing but replication, and second one we have reverse replication, and third one we are having dispatcher flush. So these are the three main things we have to discuss as a part of replication topic. So which is moving the content between multiple instances. Okay. So before that, we will understand how what is the use of dispatcher and how does the dispatcher will make the difference when it comes to AEM. So when we are configuring dispatcher, so dispatcher gives us three main abilities. So first one is load balancing. Okay, and then second one is cache memory, and third one we are having security. So these are the three main advantages where the dispatcher gives us. So what are these advantages? First one is security. Okay, consider we are trying to give any direct resource URLs. Okay, maybe an image URL or a page URL or component URL. Whenever we are making any direct request, or if any direct requests are coming from the public from the end server or the end user, so at that case, this dispatcher will block all the incoming direct requests. Okay, layer in the dispatcher will block all the direct requests. And second one, we are having a dispatcher cache. So what does it mean by the cache memory? So consider we are developing a website. Okay. So this is some XYZ website we have developed, or we retail website we have developed. Okay. So every time, so if an end user comes, if we want to access this website which we have developed, so first what page he will access? Mainly home page, right? If you are going for any website, any web application, if you are going for, so he mainly access the home page. Okay, so at that case what happens here is, so this home page is trapped inside the cache memory. So cache memory is nothing but all the frequently requested data will be inside the cache memory. So instead of going for the publish environment, instead of every request going to the publish environment, so simply it will serve from the cache memory. So consider I'm the first user. Okay, so I have made the first request to load this home page of the VRetail website. And then second user comes. So if the second user is also accessing the same web page, so again there is no need to send the request to the publish instance. So the dispatcher query will already tap whatever the static HTML and static content which is available on this web page. So all the static content will be trapped inside the dispatcher cache memory. So if any new request is again coming, so from the dispatcher cache, it will serve the request where the every time the request will not go to the publish instance, so that the load on the publish instance will be very less. Okay, so that is the main use of cache memory. So all the frequently requested data, all the frequently visited pages would already be trapped inside the cache memory. And if a person is requesting for the same data, so at that case, so it will serve the content from the cache memory only instead of going to the publish instance. And load balancing, so load balance is nothing but we don't have only one publish instance. Okay, so usually we'll have a multiple publish instance will be there. Consider we are having four publish instances. Okay, so one publish instance may serve the content to the 10,000 users. Okay, and second publish server can serve the content to 10,000 users. Okay, so 10,000 traffic or 10,000 traffic can hold by the one publish instance consider. So now when a new user comes and when this new user is there, so he's making a request. Okay, so currently in the publish server 1 we have 2,000 users, and in the publish server 2 we have 1,000 users. Okay, so and then 3 also we have 1,000 users. So now whenever a new user comes, so at that time it will not allocate the new user to the publish server 1. Okay, so it will directly fetch the request, you will directly connect it to the 2 or 3. Okay, so where it will manage the load on different publish instances. Okay, so instead of serving content on one publish instance, managing all the traffic in the one publish instance, it will segregate them into multiple publish instances which is already available. So we have to create these multiple publish instances when it will manage the load. So in some cases we see, right, a server down, we can't serve the content. So why? Because so the load on the server is more, the server might crash. Okay, so in order to manage the traffic between multiple publish instances, the load balancing tool inside the cache memory will serve. So it will try to move the request to the multiple publish instances which are available so that it can manage the load on the servers. So these are the three main advantages if you are going for the dispatcher. And by default, we are having the dispatcher every time when you are configuring any website inside AEM. So we'll be configuring the dispatcher because these are the advantages that dispatcher is providing. So this will be configured inside the publish instance. So before going for the dispatcher, what we have to do is we have to send the content to the publish instance, right? So we are developing in the author instance. Without pushing the content to the publish instance, the end user cannot fetch anything. So it will be a blank page. So we have to move the content to the publish instance. So in order to move the content to the publish instance, so we have something called as an replication agent, and this process is called as an activation. Okay, the process is called activation. So to activate the content, we are having a predefined OSGS service. So right now, when we see an interface, so we know that if I hit any of these buttons, it will move the content automatically. But how it is moving, where this configuration has been written. Okay, so it is a predefined OSGS service. It is already written. But internally, where does it acts from? Okay, so just go to the start.html and then go to tools. And here we have an option of deployment. Okay, go to deployment and here we have an option of the replication. So with this replication folder you can see what pages are replicating. Suppose if I'm replicating 100 pages. Okay, so once I have replicated 100 pages, maybe one page has not been replicated, or I want to see whatever the pages that are replicated. I haven't We don't remember, right? So maybe 100 pages or 200 pages, if you're trying to replicate, we don't usually remember. So if you want to see what pages have been replicated or who are in the queue to going to be replicated, so all the actions you can check inside this replication console. So go inside this replication console. So right now on which we are there, so we are in the author instance. So whenever you are in the author instance, so then agents on author will be on active state. So go to agents on author, and whatever the one you see here which are in the green state, so at that case they are available. Okay, so they are in the turned on state, so that's why they are moving the content to the multiple publish instances they are moving. Okay, right now we are having a default agent. So every time activating content is nothing but default action. So default is nothing but activation. So in the replication, default agent is move the content to the 4503 instance. If you observe the port number here as well, so http localhost 4503. So it is moving the content to the 4503 instance. So just go here and you have to understand multiple files. So here we have a lot of options. So if you want to check whether the connection between 4502 and 4503 is there or not. Okay, so simply you can go here and then you can click on test connection. Once you click on test connection, so it will says connected here. Now what it is saying, so connection refused to connect. Why? Because why we have to turn on the publish instance. So it is making a request to 4503 port number where the 4503 port number is not available because we haven't turned on the server. Okay, so once you turn on the server, so at that case you can see connection connected successfully. Connection successful, you can see. So in order to test the connection, you can just go inside the default agent and you can test the connection. So every time when when you are replicating multiple pages, so all the pages would be available in this replication queue. So we have this replication queue. Inside this replication queue, all the pages would be available at the same time. So now if I go there and if you try to replicate this page, publish and then publish. Now if you observe here, so whatever the content I'm trying to activate, so that is inside the replication queue. So why it is in the replication queue? So it is a small amount of data we can directly transfer. So around, it might be around 2 MB or 3 MB, right? So it can transfer immediately. But why? Publish instance is not turned on, right? So without turning on, you can't deliver the content to the publish instance. So that's why they have been stuck in the replication queue. So here we have a lot of options. You can refresh and then you can clear. So when you hit on this clear, the pages will be unpublished. So they will not go anymore. And then force retry. So if you want to again try to publish, so then you can use this force retry option. So when you hit on this force retry option, again it will try to publish the content to the publish instance. And then if you want to temporarily disable this activity, so you can hit on this pause. So once you hit on this pause, so then it will temporarily disable this activity. Suppose if you are not using any of these options as well, so if it is in the continuous state, so at that case, for every 60,000 milliseconds or every 90,000 milliseconds, so it will try to replicate these pairs again. So it will try until they go into the replication. So this action will be performed in a loop. Okay, so if you want to stop them, you can clear them. So if you can't wait for 90,000 milliseconds, so at that time you can use this force retry option. So where this configuration has been written, or where this particular why it is pointing towards this one only. So all these things, whatever the things you are having, so you can check them inside the settings. So inside the settings, go to edit, and here a lot of information is available here. So default agent is nothing but the name you can see, and then the description which is available here. So name and the description. And then here we have an option of enabled. So if you want to have this replication action to be performed, so then you have to make this agent in the enabled state. Okay, you have to make this agent in an enabled state. So enable the state, and then serialization type is default. So default means activation. Okay, so activation is nothing but default. Right now we are activating the content, right? So at that case, the serialization type should be default. And retry delay is 60,000 time in milliseconds. For every 60,000 time in milliseconds, it will try to again check, or it will try to again publish this content again and again every time. And after that, we are having something called as a transport URI. So this transport URI is nothing but here we are mentioning the OSGI service. Okay, so not here. This default agent is an OSGI service. Okay, so transport URI is nothing but for which end I want to publish the content. Okay, so right now localhost 4503 is the thing we are having. So this localhost 4503, it is pointing the content towards the publish instance. Okay, so it is pointing towards the content to the publish instance. So this is the end URI, whatever the content I am having here. So this content I want to send into this particular URL. Okay, so at that time you have to specify that inside the URI. So maybe in going towards the multiple environments, okay, so we'll have multiple cons. So right now this is my local, right? So before from the local, you'll not directly publish the content in the local. When you are working, we have multiple things. So we have testing, L1 testing, L2 testing, prod, okay. So and then from the prod we'll be specifying production. Okay, so multiple things configurations will be moving the content with the help of pipelines. Okay, so AWS pipelines will be moving. Okay, so in case if somewhere the host name is not matching, or if it is an blacklisted API or blacklisted URL you are using, so at that case with the help of a proxy host and proxy port, we can hit the data. Okay, so we can make it white label, and then we can hit them with the help of proxy host and proxy port. So these things we can easily use that with the help of the replication agent, or we can use that with the help of the agent settings. So that's what we can do with the help of proxy. So these are the two main things which you have to remember. So every time if you want to move the content to the publish instance, so then you have to select the serialization type as default. Okay, so that is the thing. So this is the tool which is moving the content to the publish instance. Okay, so try to turn on your publish instance and check whether it is transferring the content to the publish instance or not. Okay, so that is one thing which we have to look into. And then second thing, so right now we are having the publish instance and we are moving the content. Okay, so right now for the every whenever you are moving the content, right now how many publish instance we are having? Four publish instance we are having. One agent at a time can move the content into one publish instance only. Okay, one agent can move into one publish instance. So in the author I can configure n number of agents. Okay, but one single agent can publish the content to one publish instance. So if I'm having four agents, so then it will transfer the content to four agents. Okay, so four publish servers, it will transfer the content. If I'm having one agent, so one agent can transfer the content only to one publish server. Okay, so in order to transfer the content to multiple publish servers, so we have to create multiple publish servers. And second important point is, so what is the use of this reverse replication? So every time we'll push the content, right? So then why we need to retrieve the content as well? Okay, so because all the developed web page, all the developed fully loading, fully working websites only will be pushing into the publish instance. Okay, so then why we have to use this reverse replication agent? So why it is needed here? Okay, so with the help of the reverse replication agent, what happens here is, so when we are having multiple publish instance, so they don't have any connection in between them. So one doesn't know two exists, two doesn't know three exists, three doesn't know four exists. Okay, four doesn't know one exists. So multiple publish instances will not have any connection in between them. So at that case, here we have something called as an user generated content, UGC. So we go for websites, right? We'll visit multiple websites in our day-to-day life. So to buy some products or to view a movie or to manage multiple things. So in that case, what we are doing, suppose if I like something, if I like any product or if I purchased any product, so I want to write a review. So we'll be writing the reviews to the things, right? So maybe if I purchased a product or for a movie review, we are writing. Okay, or else I have purchased a project in the e-commerce website and then I'm writing a review of that product. So at that case, this is called as an user generated content. So whatever the end user is entering, so that is called as an user generated content. And this user generated content is a problem here. So this user generated content, if one user comes, okay, so he is assigned to first one, first publish server he is assigned. So second user comes, so he is assigned to second publish server. So internally, they don't have any connection in between them. So one doesn't know two. So this is the process, right? So if the one first user who is connected to the first publish server is making some comments or he is making some reviews to the product, so those reviews would not be available to the second person. Okay, so who is accessing the second publish instance? Okay, only the persons who are connected to the first publish instance will only see the data. Okay, persons who are connected to the second publish instance will not be available of that data, will not be available of the things what is happening in the first publish instance. But according to the balance, we have to give the content to all. So if the user is entering one comment, so that comment should be on the all the publish instance. So at that case, what we will do is, so we will reverse replicate this data. So whatever the data we are having, we'll try to fetch the content from the publish instance to author instance, and again we'll try to replicate the content back. Got it? So what we'll do? So first we'll fetch the content from publish to author, publish to author, which is called as a reverse replication. And once I have got the content to author, in order to sync these changes between all the publish instance, again I'll push the content from author to publish. Okay, so first I'll fetch the content, and from the author instance, I'll push the content to all the publish instance, because if I'm in the author instance, when I try to publish the content, it will publish the content to all the publish instance, right? So I'll configure multiple agents will run at the same time, and then they will push the content to multiple publish servers. So that is how the process would be there. So in order to sync this user generated content, so there we are going for this reverse replication agent. So previously we are going for the reverse replication agent in order to sync this content. But if you are going for the, but it takes a lot of process, a lot of manual interaction should be there in this process, right? So content author should be there, and then he'll replicate and he'll reverse replicate the content. So that's why AEM has introduced it to overcome this process, which is called as an UGC cloud. So with the help of this user generated node, so instead of performing this reverse replication action, so whatever the user entered data is there, so that user entered data will be stored inside this UGC cloud, and so that it will be in the sync between all publish instance. So without getting the content to the author server, so internally in the publish instance only they'll configure some UGC cloud. So one enters the comment, so that will be stored in the UGC and it will be delivered to the other as well. Okay, so that is how they have overcome this UGC problem. So in that cases, reverse replication is in very small case we will be doing. Okay, so from the publish instance, in very small cases we can do this reverse replication agent. And after that, we are having the third main thing, which is called as a dispatcher flush. So what is the use of this dispatcher flash? What is the main functionality of this dispatcher flash? Okay, consider I have created one web page. So home.html is one website I have created. So every user is accessing home.html. So every user is accessing means what does the dispatcher do? It will store inside the cache, right? In the cache memory it will store, and then it will deliver the content to the end user from this cache memory only. So now what happens here? So right now I have created one more version of this page. Okay, so in the previous yesterday we have delivered one website. So maybe after few hours or today I have made some changes inside this home.html file. Okay, simply what I'll do, so again what I have to activate the content, that is I have to replicate the content. So now inside this home v1 version, we have added a new content. Okay. So in the home v1 version, I have added a new content. This home v1 version, I have to deliver to the end user. Okay. So at that time, what I'll do? So I'll replicate the content from the publish instance, the end user will fetch, right? But as it is a frequently visited page, so what the dispatcher will do? So the dispatcher will serve from the cache memory only. Instead of going the request from the instead of making the request going to the publish server, it will directly get the content from the cache memory, because dispatcher doesn't know how many things we have done, okay, inside the publish instance. So here what happens, the old pages which are available, all the old pages will be served to the end user, so the new content will not be served to the end user. So at that case, so every time when you are making any content changes in the publish instance, so every time we have to, what we have to do, we have to clear the cache memory. Okay, so which is nothing but invalidate the content. So we have to invalidate the content inside the cache memory. To invalidate this content, we are using dispatcher flush. So dispatcher flush is one configuration which is configured inside the publish server. So which is used to invalidate the content, so that when no content is available, when invalidation is made, so in the cache memory you'll have zero content. So when we are having zero content, so at that time it will go to the publish instance and it will fetch the content, right? So dispatcher flush is something we have to configure to invalidate the content inside the cache memory. So from the publish instance, one service will go and then it will remove the content. Again, it will come back. So once it is removing the content, when new request is comes, so the new request will come to the publish instance and it will fetch the content, so that new content would be available to the end user. So every time we are performing this action, so then with the help of this replication agent only, we can perform all these action. So replication, reverse replication, and dispatcher flush. So that is about the dispatcher, main thing of dispatcher, and that is the main advantages of the replication agent to sync the content between author instance and the publish instance. Any questions?